So I thought I'd just have a bit of a rant about the Isle of Evrima because I really want to love this game. I absolutely adored the Isle Legacy, and I thought, okay, well, they've upgraded the graphics engine, they're going to redo a bunch of stuff, add extra things in, fine. And the basic change of the combat system, I don't love, but I don't hate it either. Um, yes, tail riding isn't something that happens now, but combat is fairly confused and chaotic mess these days. Like in the Isle Legacy, combat was actually quite refined, and if you made bad decisions at the wrong time, then you lost the combat. In Evrima, I actually don't feel very much like I'm the one who's winning or losing the combats. Even when I win, I feel like I was kind of lucky, and when I lose, I feel that it was a bit out of my control. So I'm not loving the combat, to be honest. But again, that is by far the least of my concerns. It's not the thing that's making Evrima unfun for me, because I'm sure that I could learn how the combat works eventually, if I were to get to play the game properly, and this wouldn't be too much of a problem. But anyway, so this is from my Discord, where Kelbrick here is pointing out, look, there are loads of problems with this. Connect server, connect server, connect server. I mean, the queuing system for the official servers is nightmarish, right? There are like 5 or 6 EU servers. There's always like 40 or 50 people in the queue, and you're just like, oh god, okay, fine. I guess I'll join the queue. So fine. Eventually, you get on and you pick a carnivore because herbivore is boring. True. Um, Also, I just rarely see herbivores. Like, no one seems to play them. Very few people play them. And then when you do see them, it's like a pack of tenors or a pack of dibbles. And there's just nothing you can do about that. So it's just like, okay, well, I'll just avoid those then. Um, get spawn killed by raptors, get spawn killed by dibbles. Forget to eat or drink or die. I haven't had that problem actually. Find food, killed by Herrera camping it, run off a small step, break your legs. That's not such a problem these days, actually. Aloe fragilis was named for its fragile ankles in the Legacy. That's not such a problem now. Although I have occasionally run off a cliff because there's a bush in front of it. And I didn't know there's a cliff on the other side. Um, can't find any AI, starve again, get sub-adult, get killed by a croc with no counterplay, get to an adult, lose turn fights until you get good. Yeah, this really does summarize a lot of the things that are making the Isle unfun. So the first thing I suppose we'll talk about is spawn killing, and this happens all the time on Evrima with no rhyme or reason because now that you can see what happens after you've been killed, you can see the person who murdered you just walks off. So some fully grown dinosaur walked up. Oh, there's a baby there. I'm going to murder it. And then I'm not even going to eat it. I'm going to walk off. If they were going to eat my body, I would at least understand it. But 9 out of 10 times they don't. And so what can you do? You aren't faster than them. Apparently the turn radiuses don't matter anymore, so you can't even like outmaneuver them. You just get killed if they spot you. Now, not terrible, but the problem is, why are there adults hanging around the spawn points? Why are the adults anywhere near the spawn points? Why is the map so poorly designed that the adults would have any interest in being where the juveniles spawn? Like, take the Ceratosaurus, for example, has 2 spawn points, the South Plains and the North Plains, and the North Plains is dead because there's nothing interesting up there. It's a terrible location. Absolutely terrible. In the middle of a thick jungle on top of hills. It's like, okay, why would I want to be in nightmarish terrain like that? There's not a water source, so you've got to run to find a water source across difficult terrain. And there's just no one there. No one wants to be in that location. And so everyone goes South Plains, which makes South Plains just a charnel house. And it's like, okay, well, you want to eat, don't you? Because, I mean, if you spawn in North Plains, you're just going to starve to death. And I really mean that. You will literally just starve to death. It's like, okay, I can't spawn there, can I? So I have to spawn in South Plains, putting me right next to all of the fucking spawn killing adults. Great. And this is the only area where there's food because people just keep spawning and getting murdered, spawning and getting murdered, and the gangs of people fight down here and just murder everything around. So okay, well I'll try and sneak around and get some food then, and once in every 2 or 3 attempts I'll manage to get to like 30-40% grown before getting murdered, and once in every 10 attempts I'll manage to get to an adult. Once in every 15 attempts I'll manage to become fully grown. Now, I just want to point out this was not this. This did not happen on the R Legacy. It was actually quite unusual to die as a juvenile, and it felt terrible because it was most of the time it was that another juvenile or a small dinosaur had found you and killed you. So okay, not the end of the world, but it wasn't that difficult to become an adult and fully grown in Legacy. It's a nightmare in Evrima because of the way the game's set up. And it's like, okay, but why have you done it like this? Like, this is detracting from the fun of the game. I want to play your game, and I can't. So, getting on to not being able to play the game, because of the persistent spawn killing, you can actually get locked out of being able to play the dinosaur that you want to play. So, for example, the Ceratosaurus, for some reason, mysteriously, only has 2 spawn locations, Northern Jungle, Southern Plains. And for some reason, on the last update, they decided that they were going to add a 10-minute countdown timer so you don't spawn in the same place where you just spawned. So, okay, why? And their answer for this is because people would spawn, die, and then respawn to eat their body. It's like, oh, what a tremendous issue that is for the game. Oh god, I can't believe that people are forced to respawn in order to have some food so their dinosaur can survive the first cycle of the game. Like, one, it strikes me that's a failure of the game makers, but two, is that really breaking the game? Did that really need to be patched, to be fixed, to be stopped? Was that really something that was, oh no, we've got to put an end to that behavior? Because what that means for like Ceratosaurus players is if you get spawn killed, as you are likely to be, and if you say drop off the edge of a cliff or something, or just die of starvation, then you can't play their game. This is one of those few games that just doesn't even, it's not even that it disincentivizes you from playing it, from constantly making it very, very difficult to become an actual player in the game, but it actually physically stops you playing. And I posted this in the Discord, and people were just like, "We'll just play something else." I guess I will. That's just a person in the Discord. That's not like the developers or something. But like, that strikes me as the wrong attitude to have to any game, really, doesn't it? So next, let's talk about AI. Now, it was entirely possible in Legacy to starve to death because AI didn't spawn. Now, on Legacy, you can have servers up to, I think it was 200 people, and there's only a certain amount of AI that could spawn, and the AI spawned near-ish around you when your hunger level got to a certain percentage. This meant that if you were starting to starve, it was likely that some AI would spawn around you, unless, of course, there were just too many people on the server. And so even if you couldn't find any other players, even if you couldn't find any corpses, you would still be able to sort of eke out an existence with a sort of like quarter full stomach until you got to a big fight and managed to win and kill someone and eat them, right? But that doesn't happen in Evrima because the AI spawns are so rare that it's just like, okay, why can't I eat as a juvenile? Like, it is so difficult to find things. Now, in Legacy, the AI had loud and distinctive calls. They were quite, they were piercing. They travelled a long way. They were very distinctive. And so, if you were hungry and you were like, right, I need something to tide me over until the next proper battle where I can get a proper meal, then you'd be able to find it. You'd be able to survive, right? And even then, it wasn't perfect. You could starve to death in Legacy. More than enough times this has happened, and it put a good sort of clock on the game. You're counting down. You're like, God, I better find some AI, or I better find someone to eat. And then if you run into another creature, you'd be like, brilliant. I'm gonna really go at this guy because I need to eat him, right? But in this, it's so hard to find the AI, right? Because goats and deer make very soft noises that don't travel. And frankly, there just doesn't seem to be much AI around, even when I'm out actively looking for it, like, the forests or in the plains or wherever. There's bugger all AI around. So it's very difficult to know, as a juvenile, what you're even supposed to do. And the only thing it seems, especially as a Ceratosaurus, which is what I like playing, is that, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to have to spawn at South Plains, go and get myself eaten a bunch of times until I manage to sneak a one body or two bodies, as food, and then go hide in a bush. It doesn't have to be this way. It wasn't like this on Legacy, and I don't see how this is improving the game at all. Frankly, it's making me not want to play it, which is a real shame because, like I said, I absolutely adore this game, or what it was anyway. Going back to the spawn killing for a minute, it's really weird that there are a whole slew of dinosaurs whose entire raison d'etre seems to be killing juveniles. Like, what is the point of a Troodon? What is the point of a Herrerasaurus? Like, these things are just too small to do anything interesting to any of the bigger dinosaurs. Even velociraptors or omniraptors, dilos, too big for these things to handle. They can't really do anything about them. So all these things can do are set up traps for juveniles. It's like, why? Why are you adding these in? Like, with the kind of dinosaurs and the abilities they have, the things that you put in attract and facilitate the kind of players that you want to attract. And all I can see is that these dinosaurs attract the sort of people who like griefing. Right? They're not there to play the game proper. What they do is they like set up traps to kill juveniles, which is okay, but ideally you should have it so there is a path for the average player to not be killed as a juvenile. And making it is difficult enough as it is, with just random encounters with adults who can just murder you and there's nothing you can do, which is fine. But making it so there are dinosaurs who basically their speciality is murder juveniles is very peculiar to me, and I don't see the point of it. The next thing is there are a bunch of mechanics in Evrima that are just not fun. They're not fun mechanics to have, and when you introduce mechanics that make your game less fun, well, people don't enjoy it, and they don't tend to want to play it. Anything that prevents the player from exercising their own agency is a bad mechanic, right? So anything that disables their controls, for example, is a bad mechanic. That is a mechanic that disincentivizes fun, because players have fun when they are exercising their agency. Now, it's fine to let them exercise their agency and make mistakes and make bad decisions that allow them to lose. Right? That's totally fine, because then go, well, I made a mistake there, or the other guy outplayed me, that's fine. But when you have one-shot mechanics that basically just end the game for you, that's not fun, right? When there's literally nothing you can do about something that is actually really easy for them to do, it's just click, I win, you lose. That's a shit mechanic that doesn't improve the game. Now, there are a few of these in here. The first one is, of course, the Deinosuchus, the giant crocodile that comes out of the water, grabs you, and drags you under and drowns you, and there is literally nothing you can do about it. Now, there are arguments in favour and against this, because of course this makes going to the water's edge a very nerve-wracking experience, and that is fun. That is a part of the fun. Even if it's very, very frustrating that like a third-grown dino can drown a fully grown Carno, and there's nothing the Carno can do about it. It's like, okay, all right, whatever. It's again a kind of one-shot mechanics, very easy for them to pull off. Nothing you can do about it. I mean, it does make drinking scary. Well done. But the other one is the Raptor Pounce and their pin. Now, everyone's been complaining about these because, well, frankly, they're shit, right? They're just shit. They're badly implemented, and they don't make the game fun. Like, the Raptor Pounce at the moment, I'm sure they're going to try and fix it at some point, but at the moment, there's just nothing you can do with a raptor on your flank. And it's like, why can't I do anything about this? Like, why can't I crush them against a tree? Why can't I fall on the ground? I don't know. Why can't I just lean over and bite them? Like, if I'm looking to one side and I click attack, I can see my jaws go through them, but they don't take damage. And so it's like, right, that's really silly because A, there's nothing I can do. So you've removed my agency. B, you've made it really easy for them. All they have to do is do the pounce attack at your flank and they'll hit you. And also, they can pounce onto dinosaurs that are the same size as them. So dinosaurs that wouldn't be able to hold them up, like you would think the pounce mechanic would have a minimum size threshold on what they can pounce onto, and that would be quite big, right? They shouldn't be able to pounce onto the size of things that aren't very big, right? That's obviously not what the thing is for. Like, I am a third grown Ceratosaurus, so I'm about, what, 500 kilograms, about the size of the raptors. And they, like, these bigger raptors pounce on my sides, and I'm running around with them on my sides. I'm like, this thing should have me on the ground. So, okay, well, let's talk about being pinned. Being pinned is not fun. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, you're just laying there, getting murdered. And it's like, right, there aren't any keys on my keyboard I can press to save myself. There's no gameplay. There's no counterplay for any of it. Again, it would be fine if it was there, if there was something I could do in order to reverse this onto them. I don't know, like any sort of timing mechanism or something like that that would force them off and stun them, knock them onto their backs, they have to get up. So instead of me just being like a target, they leapt at me. I did whatever I was supposed to do in the particular window of time and knocked them onto the ground so I could bite them instead. Because as it is at the moment, the raptors are just really difficult to kill. Like, they're really, really hard to kill because a lot of the time they'll just get on you and you're like, okay, I can't do anything about that guy. And they're too fast, especially as a Ceratosaurus player. So it's just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with the raptors. Now, I mean, I can fight the Carnotauruses because they are less nimble than the Ceratosaurus. So you have to play this constant game of like evasion and then biting them on the arse and then running off and then evading them. But that's fine. That's the way that a Carnotaurus is defeated as a Ceratosaurus. Totally fine. But there isn't anything I can do about the raptors. Like, they can evade me and they can jump on me and I can't bite them. This isn't good. This is not good game design. And since I'm on the subject of the Ceratosaurus, I mean, what is the point of it in this game? How is it supposed to be a viable kind of dinosaur? Because there's nothing about the Ceratosaurus that fits where it is in the size of the scale of the other dinosaurs. So in Legacy, the Ceratosaurus was the smallest of the mid-tier carnivores. And it was obviously the least tough, but it had a good bite. It had a really good bite. But it doesn't have that good bite anymore. Now it's got a really mediocre bite. It's like, okay, well, it had good stamina. It's like, okay, but its stamina is now mediocre as well. Okay. Well, it had quite good speed, but its speed isn't good now. Okay. Well, one thing it had in Legacy was an amazing turning circle. Much better than the other mid-tier and high-tier carnivores, which meant it could actually go toe-to-toe with the raptors because they couldn't just get behind you and you'd be able to chew them up because you did good damage with your bite. Well, now you don't do good damage with your bite. You do really mediocre damage with your bite. You do less damage with your bite than a Carnotaurus does. And the Carnotaurus is about twice your weight now, so you can't just tank them either, like you were able to in the previous one. So the Carnotaurus is bigger and faster than you and has a better bite. So if you are a sort of half-grown Ceratosaurus and you meet a half-grown or larger Carnotaurus, you're just done. You are just done. They are going to fuck you up. Good luck, my friend. This puts the Ceratosaurus in a position where it's like just bad in every situation. Like, it's inferior to every other dinosaur around it, and it's not even like a good average. And like I said, I'm arguing from the position of someone who likes the sort of mid-tier brawler types, and I don't want an overpowered dinosaur, right? I don't want it to be like wildly stronger or faster or anything like that. I just want it to be competitive. and it's not competitive, and it's very frustrating that it's not competitive. And so I just don't find myself wanting to play the Isle at the moment. It's just a combination of not well thought out game design that is not designed to produce a fun experience for the player, but is, quote, supposed to bring realism about, which I don't agree that it does. A series of mechanics that disempower the players, which is just a bad idea in the face of it. And honestly, not great game balance, and a weird bias towards small dinosaurs that kill juveniles, which is not what you want to have bias towards, ideally. It seems to be not very forward thinking. And I can't help but notice that hardly anyone actually plays these small dinosaurs. Like, there are loads of dinosaurs on the roster that you just don't see people playing. And it's because why would I? What would be the point of playing that? Like, what am I supposed to get out of the game playing as a Beepisaurus or as a Troodon? Like, what is the gameplay payoff for this? Because I mean, with the Ceratosaurus, for example, when you are an adult and you have a battle with a Carnotaurus and you win, that's a great feeling. That's great fun. You know, when you're in a group as a Carnotaurus and you have a big battle with a group of Diabloceratops, great fun, right? Really great fun. But is it great fun to predate on juveniles who can't defend themselves? Like, why are you encouraging, why are you attracting those kinds of people to your game, rather than the sort of people who'd want to be competitive with the dinosaurs that are well balanced, or if they were well balanced? You know, there's so many small things. It's like, for some reason, with this sort of northern jungle, the it seems to me that the carnivores spawn on the western side of the isle, and the herbivores spawn on the eastern side of the isle. And I never see the herbivores moving anywhere. I don't know if there are any herbivores. I only ever see carnivores. It's like, why have that? Why do this way? You are actually creating division between these kinds of dinosaurs. And the migration doesn't seem to be working, as far as I can tell. I don't see predators going after prey. I just see carnivores scrapping all the time. And that can't really be that much fun for the herbivores either, right? Surely part of the fun of being a herbivore is being hunted and fighting off the carnivores. But anyway, there are other small problems with the Isle, but these are the main ones that I'm encountering at the moment that are just making it not fun to play, and I just don't want to play it when it's in this kind of state. And it's not even the paucity of dinosaurs that are actually worthwhile playing on the roster either. You know, maybe I'll change my mind when Allosaurus is out, but even then it doesn't. I don't know if they're going to do a good job of it, to be honest. Taking out the crouch acceleration, the sprint, the ambush speed, was such a silly thing as well, because like that gave the combat a level of extra depth. Like there was something you could do to affect your abilities in the combat if you prepared for the fight. If you saw the fight coming, you could crouch down, and not only does that show you're in a threat posture to the other people, like, oh, this guy's about to fight me, but so you could judge the disposition of enemy dinosaurs based on how they were behaving, which is great. But it also gave you an advantage. So if you had the drop on someone, you could do something they couldn't do, which is move a bit faster. It wasn't the best thing in the world, but it was something significant. And none of the dinosaurs have that, but apparently Allosaurus is going to have that. And so, okay, but why can't they all have it? Like, it's a good thing to have, for the predators at least. But anyway, like I said, these are just I'm frustrated with the design choices in Evrima over Legacy, because Legacy was such a fun game. Even if they weren't happy with the combat system, it was still quite well balanced actually. But anyway, I'll leave it there.